Chapter 4 of The Long Ago by Jacob William Wright. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Reading by Bologna Times. Chapter 4. Butter, Eggs, Ducks, Geese. It seems mightily convenient to telephone your grocer to send up a pound of butter and have it come all squeezed tight into a nice square-cornered cardboard box whose bright and multicolored label assures you that the butter has been properly deodorized, fumigated, washed, sterilized, antisepticized, and conforms in every other respect to the Food and Drugs Act, Serial 1762973-A. You read the label again and feel reasonably safe at meals. Huh! Precious little grandmother knew about that kind of butter. Hers came in a basket, a great big, worn brown and shiny, round-bottom willow basket, hand-wove. It didn't come in any white and gold delivery wagon either. It was delivered by a round-faced, rosy-cheeked, gingham-gowned picture of health whose apron strings barely met around the middle. For Frau Hummel brought it herself, after having first milked the cows with her own hands and wielded the churning stick with her own stout German arms. She had the butter all covered up with fresh, sweet, white linen cloths, and hand-molded into big rolls, each roll wrapped in its own immaculate cloth. And when that cloth was slowly pulled away so that grandmother could stick the point of a knife in the butter and test it on her tongue, you could see the white salt all over the roll, and even the imprint of the cloth threads. Good? Why, you could eat it without bread. "What else have you got today, Mrs. Hummel?" Grandmother could never say Frau, and as if she didn't know what else was in the basket. "Well, Mrs. Van, there is maybe some eggs, and a duck, and also there is left one fine stuffed geese." So the cloth covering was rolled farther back, and the 3 dozen eggs were gently taken out and put in the old tin egg bucket. And just then grandfather came in and lifted tenderly out of the basket one of those wonderful geese, stuffed with good food, in a dark cellar until fat enough for market. Ever had a toothful of that kind of goose breast or second joint? No? Your life is yet incomplete. You have something to live for. Goodness me, I can't describe it. How can a fellow tell about such things? It's like, well, it's like Frau Hummel's stuffed goose, that's all. And then it was weighed on the old balances, steels. No, I don't mean scales. Steelyards, you know. A long-armed affair with a pear shape of iron at one end and a hook at the other, and a handle somewhere in between at the center of gravity, or some such place. Anyway, they gave an honest pound, which is, perhaps, another respect in which they were different. Then the ducks, too, were unwrapped from their white cloths and weighed, usually a pair of them, and the old willow basket had nothing left but its bundle of cloths when Frau Hummel started out again on her 10-mile walk to the farm. Whenever I see a glassy-eyed, feather-headed, cold-storage chicken half plucked and discolored hanging in a present-day butcher shop, accumulating dust, or a scrawny duck almost popping through its skin, I think of Frau Hummel and her willow basket. But Frau Hummel isn't here now, and they don't build ducks and geese like hers any more, and her old willow basket is probably in some collection while we use the machine-made things that fall to pieces when you accidentally stub your toe against them in the cellar. We are hurrying along so fast that we don't see anything until it's cooked and served. We just use the phone and let them send us any old thing that they can charge on a bill. But in those days grandfather and grandmother inspected everything, and it just had to be good. And there weren't any trusts, or eggs of various grades, from just eggs to strictly fresh eggs, and on down to eggs guaranteed to boil without crowing. Every Frau Hummel in the country wanted the Van Alstyne trade, and Frau Hummel knew it, and she never brought anything to that back kitchen door unless it was perfect of its kind. No wonder grandfather lived to be 92 and grandmother 86, in good health and spirits to the last. End of Chapter 4.